Who is a hacker? What, who, how, and where? Most people have a false misconception regarding the definitions of a hacker or hacking. Now, first of all, in order to understand the real definition of a hacker or hacking, it is first very important to understand what a hacker is not. First of all, a hacker is definitely not a criminal. A hacker is not the guy who is breaking the cyber laws, committing crimes, stealing credit card numbers, defacing websites, creating havoc on the internet, releasing viruses, and so on. A hacker is not also a teenager sitting in a dark room in some one corner eating pizzas the whole day and breaking into the FBI website. A hacker is also not somebody who's very good with the axe and knows how to sort of break wood and create very nice furniture. A hacker is also surprisingly not always a computer wizard. He is not somebody who can break into or crack passwords to all websites, to all applications, or to all softwares. Unfortunately, all these false misconceptions or definitions have been created or are basically false manifestations created by the mass media, created by the people, and created by the masses. So who exactly is a hacker? Now, the real definition of a hacker is actually somebody or a person who has some very interesting qualities or characteristics. First of all, a hacker is somebody who likes to think out of the box. He's somebody who always wants to test his limits and wants to achieve things that are normally not achievable. Normally, most people wouldn't even think of those things. A hacker is always somebody who wants to try out things that are not written in the manual, which are not written in the rule book. A hacker has unlimited amounts of curiosity. A hacker always wants to discover unknown features, unknown characteristics, unknown tips, unknown tricks, and wants to make things work in a manner that most people can't even imagine. A hacker is dedicated to knowledge, dedicated to research. A hacker always also believes in stretching the limits. And most importantly, a hacker is somebody who is highly creative, highly innovative, and can actually think on his feet and achieve things that are beyond the capacity of the average person. And based on these definitions, based on these characteristics of what a hacker really is, I would imagine, or rather I would put some of the most famous scientists and inventors and maybe creative people into the category of a definition of a hacker. So Newton, Einstein, Edison are all examples of hackers. Those were people who were creative, who were dedicated to knowledge, wanted to always learn, wanted to challenge the limits, wanted to stretch the limits, and do things that are beyond the capacity of the average person. For example, a hacker would be a person who, say for example, if you're talking about a train, a hacker would be a person who would like to make the train go faster than the worldwide record. A hacker would be a person who would think of common problems or interesting things that humans face or interesting problems that humans face worldwide, and a hacker would try to actually solve those problems. Now that you know the definition of a hacker, let us now learn what are the various characteristics, what are the various ingredients, or what are the various things that a modern day hacker needs to do, needs to learn to excel in the field of computer security. Now, a modern day hacker is a person who wants to excel specifically in the field of computer hacking or computer security. So a modern day hacker will have certain important ingredients like, first of all, a modern day hacker will need to learn at least one programming language. And when I say programming language, I'm of course referring to C++. Secondly, a modern day hacker will need to become a networking guru. In other words, a modern day hacker will need to know how the internet works, how computers communicate with one another on the internet, and in general, all the various important networking concepts, rules, and definitions. Thirdly, a modern day hacker will also need to know at least the basics of Unix. Because every single good computer security expert, every single good modern day computer hacker will definitely encounter some form of Unix or the other in his or her hacking career. However, the most important ingredient that a modern day hacker has is actually, if you look at the screen, placed right on the top of the pyramid. It's something called the hacking attitude. In other words, if you want to become a modern day hacker, you need to learn to adopt a hacking attitude, which is often referred to as a criminal mind or a crooked mind. In other words, each time you use a software, each time you use an application or the internet, you need to try and think of ways in which you can break them. Because in computer security, there's a golden rule which says that in order to catch the criminals, you got to become one as well. So thinking like a hacker, or rather thinking like a computer criminal, is a very important aspect of excelling or succeeding in the field of computer security. Now that you know the definition of a hacker, let's now understand what a cracker is. A cracker is actually somebody who has the same knowledge, somebody who has the same information, the same kind of experience that a computer hacker has. The only difference between a hacker and a cracker is the fact that hackers are good guys or ethical people who want to utilize their knowledge, want to utilize their experience in the positive sense. On the other hand are the crackers, who are unethical, who want to indulge in illegal activities, sort of get a kick out of breaking the cyber laws and indulge in cybercrime. Hackers are also the people who help the police agencies to try and catch the criminals who are the crackers. So hackers are good guys and crackers are the bad guys. And I really hope that all of you have enrolled in this course only with the intention to become a hacker and not a cracker.